still fresh.
They cloning Squidward, bro? This can't be right.
Still fresh.
It look can't be
Get
legal.
6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables.
The key to great skin is exfoliating and moisturizing. Old Spice gives me both.
So I just watched this movie called They Clone Tyrone, and just like that, Netflix got through another month without me canceling my subscription. This movie is starring John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and Tiana Paris, and it's an offbeat sci-fi story in the style of classic blaxploitation films like Superfly and Dolomite. To be honest, this movie feels more like the love child conceived from Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Undercover Brother. It is an extremely impressive directorial debut for Joel Taylor, and after 6 weeks of covering Marvel's Secret Invasion, I can honestly say that this movie did it better than Disney. Walk with me. This movie opens up with the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg watching over a corner store in a hood called The Glen, which is a fictional southern neighborhood. However, there is probably some neighborhood nicknamed The Glen or called The Glen near you, which is a smart way for the audience to feel a bit of connection to the community depicted in the film. Outside the corner store, there's a few dudes out front debating if Michael Jackson is back from the dead and working at a nearby supermarket.
Why I ain't never seen him? You know why you ain't never seen him? Cause he black now.
Another guy is trying to sell mixtapes out the front of his car to some girl. A kid on a bike pulls up looking for a guy named Fontaine, our main protagonist played by John Boyega. Fontaine is a drug dealer, and the kid gets paid every time he spots rival dealers selling in Fontaine's territory. On the way to show Fontaine where the rival dealer is, the little kid badgers Fontaine about how he never watches SpongeBob and calls him Squidward, which is low-key one of the most important pieces of dialogue in this whole movie.
Why don't you watch SpongeBob?
Because I don't, right?
You're a real Squidward.
Nah, Squidward.
You watch SpongeBob.
But we will get to that later in the video. Fontaine
never
spots
get
his
the line
ops and
right.
runs him over with his car, and the dude pulls out a Motorola Razor to call his OG Isaac, and that sets up Isaac to be a minor antagonist in this movie.
You gonna get his ass. You ain't never get no me time.
We get a little slice of life with Fontaine. He lives in a dilapidated house with his mom, never comes out of her room because she's too busy watching her stories. He buys scratch-off tickets that are always losers. He picks up a 40 and shares a little bit with the senile homeless dude outside the liquor store. We see that he keeps a photo of his late little brother near his bedside. The only friends that Fontaine has are the guys that help him maintain his drug operation. He's kind of just moving day by day in a Westworld type of loop. Later that night, Fontaine is watching TV and a commercial for a local chicken restaurant comes
this
on,
is
and this
interesting.
feels
I thought
straight
this,
out of Under.
I thought this movie heavy. I didn't watch it like 4 or 5 times, bro. It's a great movie, bro. If you haven't watched it, you gotta go watch it.
Cover brother, but also reminded me of the commercials in I'm a Virgo. Fontaine's partner comes in with the cash drop. However, it's a little short because one of Fontaine's clients didn't come through with the payment and appears to be trying to duck him. So Fontaine goes out looking for this dude. Enter Jamie Foxx as the pimp Slick Charles and Tiana Paris as the lady of the night Yo-Yo. And this is when I knew I was in for a good time because the energy and charisma from these two is off the charts and hilarious.
You ain't nothing but a habitual line stepping, Jedi mind tricking motherfucker, and I ain't got to deal with it.
You gonna deal with it?
You know why? Do you know why? Blockchain.
Jamie Foxx
But I did not want that to have to happen.
is all the way in his bag playing a pimp long past his glory years. And the last thing I seen Tiana in was WandaVision, and it's almost jarring how big her personality is in comparison to the stilted Monica Rambeau that she plays in the MCU. We are introduced to these two in the middle of an argument where Yo-Yo says that she is leaving Slick to invest in the blockchain. As Yo-Yo is leaving, Fontaine is showing up to the motel to get his money. Fontaine is able to find Slick's stash, but when he's about to leave, that's when Isaac boxes him in. And I love this scene so much because it shows how quickly the movie will juggle intensity with hilarity at a drop of a hat. And also, it just looks beautiful. It's really showing off that it was shot on film in this scene in particular. In this beautiful static shot, we see Fontaine take a beat to evaluate the situation and figure that his only option is to look his ops in the face as they take him out. And we immediately cut to Fontaine waking back up in his bed in a way that's very reminiscent of Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day, which is a very interesting choice because when clone is in the title of the movie without watching any trailers or reading any synopsis, clearly some clone shit was going on, so there must be something more to the story than just that, right? Well, Fontaine continues his daily loop as if nothing happened. His mother is still absent, the scratch off he buys says he's a loser, and the old guy outside the liquor store is still rambling.
Young blood, straighter is greater, you hear me?
But then Fontaine notices something odd. A man walking down the street in blood-soaked clothes getting picked up by a black SUV.
Off to see the wizard again.
Later that night, Fontaine does notice the cash drop is still short and makes his way back to Slick Charles, who is paranormally confused because he saw Fontaine's dead body the previous night.
It ain't no way. Damn. Ain't no way. Jesus.
Chat, am I too quiet, bro? I'm actually.
However, Fontaine has no recollection of this, but he is suspicious and realizes something is off. So
Oh
Slick
my
says he needs to
gosh,
find Yo-Yo
bro, look
because
at
she
that.
also saw him last night and would be able to corroborate the story.
Don't you see we busy here? Don't you see we'll split your wig down the middle and you be a half a nigga? Get your beige ass the fuck out here, you fake Obama looking motherfucker.
Thanksgiving is a slasher film set in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Thanksgiving
Plymouth.
is an institution here.
They have such a
That ain't Michelle, nigga.
Y'all owe me $50.
Yo-Yo does confirm there was
knew
a
it.
shooting and recognizes a black SUV that was at the scene and agrees to take them where she last saw it in the area.
DJ Strangelove, I know it's been a long day. I know you need that tall glass of wine. I got that new ruckus. So tired.
Damn, I hate this motherfucking song. Fontaine, can you change this depressing ass shit?
So our trio makes their way into the bando where this car is parked, and after a bit of snooping, they find a secret elevator to a laboratory where a white dude with an afro is listening to Michael Jackson and chilling and mixing up some special recipe. Slick takes a little bit of the powder that's being concocted, and that starts to make him giggle a bit as he interrogates
Popped
the
his
scientist.
ass.
But
Popped
he
his
accidentally
ass.
kills the
Told
guy.
you.
But before they all
I was
rush
gonna
out
get
of
something
there,
right,
they
nigga.
find the dead clone of Fontaine in the lab. They are able to confirm that it is the clone from the night before due to the bullet wounds from the shooting. So from there, they decide to hide out at Yo-Yo's place to recalibrate. However, Fontaine is
grandma
unable
place.
to come to terms with seeing himself dead in the lab and is hungry for more answers. But they're chilling in Yo-Yo's childhood bedroom surrounded by Nancy Drew books, and she pleads with the guys to think more pragmatically and to investigate what's going on in the morning. But in the morning, when Slick and Yo-Yo wake up, we see that Fontaine is already gone.
Where the fuck is Fontaine?
Bust in
We
that
cut to
little house.
Fontaine with his crew raiding the house, but it is no longer a bando, and the elevator is no longer there. The secret agency has managed to cover their tracks in a matter of hours. Fontaine goes back to Slick and Yo-Yo to let them know what's going on, and we get one of the funniest line deliveries from John Boyega.
Stop.
What would that Scooby-Doo bitch do?
Nancy Drew?
The gang decides to talk things over some lunch and head to the chicken spot we previously saw on commercials. When they get their chicken, they all start giggling at the scenario they found themselves in, and Slick has the revelation
that
that he's
nigga
actually
never
never seen
laughs.
Fontaine laugh or smile at anything, and notices that everyone in the restaurant is euphoric as fuck for this chicken. Slick puts two and two together and recalls the powder from the night previously at the lab, so they come to the conclusion that the agency must be lacing the chicken with the same drug.
It's in fucking chicken.
So Yo-Yo is able to seduce the manager of the restaurant, who is also a white dude with an afro.
Teamwork, guys, teamwork. Don't forget. No, I ain't goddamn.
And Yo-Yo gets into the back room and finds out that all of the Glen is under surveillance. So the gang decides to start tailing the supply chain for the chicken restaurant, which leads them to the local hair salon.
Straighter is
We see
greater.
a woman getting their hair treated with a different formula of the chemical that we saw in the lab. This chemical formula is not so euphoric, but it does make everyone more complacent. And we come to find out that the salon owner is a white woman with a weave, sticking with the theme of the other establishments. At the same time this is going on, Isaac recognizes Fontaine from the barbershop across the street and rolls in with his gang all clad in apron capes. I just think it's hilarious that they were all getting their hair cut at the same time. We get a funny gag where Isaac flashes his at Fontaine, but his cape makes it unclear what he's gesturing at.
I'm gonna see you around, though.
Okay, you know.
Meanwhile, Slick is investigating the van and gets locked
Kill that
inside
nigga.
as the agency drives off. So
Kill that
Fontaine
nigga.
and Yo-Yo rush to go find him but lose his trail. That's when Yo-Yo
Bone
reads
and
one of the
Bessie.
perm boxes, noticing that it says
Straighter is greater. Kiss my black ass.
This immediately clicks with Fontaine. Now, if you have been paying attention, Trader is Greater is exactly a line that the senile homeless dude outside the liquor store rambled off earlier.
Young blood, straighter is greater, you hear me?
His name is Frog. He reveals that they need to go find answers at the church. Sure enough, when they
I know this shit is off. Hey. Hey. Did you pray today? You know I prayed today. You know damn well I prayed today.
They go to the church, they find Slick still in the back of the van. When they attend the service, they recognize that there is also some brainwashing going on there too. It's in the form of the juice used for communion. The trio sticks behind after the church service, and when everyone is gone, they find another secret elevator. And so the gang makes their way down under the Glen for a second time. Watching Fox and Paris do a quick remix of Mary J. Blige I'm Going Down in this elevator scene gave me life.
Let a motherfucker try me.
And the comment section of that song is definitely proof of the effect it had on the audience. But this is a much longer elevator ride than before, and they arrive at the main HQ of this whole operation. This is when they discover all of the nefarious experiments that the agency is running on the Glen. We see that this lady is getting clockwork orange, and it turns out that this is the same woman that we saw at the very beginning.
The store at the beginning, and she's next seen underground. So having been abducted, having some clockwork orange as things happen to her. See her face on the missing sign. There's a lot of missing people posters like kind of peppered throughout, but we kind of focus on this one because we've seen her. They free her and we see her on the news reuniting with her family at the end.
The agency is also testing audio frequencies and music that can control what people think and feel, which you can see was taking effect in a car ride earlier in the film where a certain song made Slick and Yo-Yo sleepy. And while Yo-Yo and Slick have seen enough and want to get out of there as soon as possible, Fontaine still wants to investigate. So they happen upon a room where all the clones are being held. They find out that it's not the whole Glen that is being cloned, but only specific people. And in a kind of shocking reveal, we find out that there is actually a clone of Slick Charles also in a pod. I can't say that this was shocking because it came out of nowhere, but because it was interesting knowing that there's only a select few people that are being cloned, which means there is a greater connotation into why Slick and Fontaine were the ones chosen. Fontaine also finds his clone, and it has the designation of
interesting to
A0.
y'all? He let off them shots. 2,274 frames missed.
01, which is very peculiar and something we will get to later in the video. But the sight of his replacement clone angers Fontaine, so he pulls his gun and starts firing at the tank. The camera wobble with each shot was actually so damn cool, but this gets the alarm blaring and the gang finds an elevator backup before they get caught, and they end up exiting out of the Glen strip club. Of course, there is a white DJ, and the DJ starts playing a song called Round and Round.
You grew up on crime scenes, and you think this is one too. It's not.
FX's A Murder at the End of the World, streaming November 14th, only on Hulu.
I don't want no more ads. I don't want to be shown.
Dawn Power Wash has 3 cleaning boosters not found in traditional dish soaps. It's more than soap, it's power wash.
And I should mention here that the soundtrack for this movie is really, really good. All the songs were picked to give a hypnotic tone throughout the film. Anyway, the song makes all the people in the club kind of aimlessly wander around until the DJ commands them to chase after our trio. When the mob finally catches up to them, they all just stop and stand still, all menacingly. Oh, and something else that I found really cool is that the director, Jewel Taylor, confirmed that under the bass line, there is a subliminal Morse code message.
I had to mess around with like this super low Morse code that basically starts to say everybody stop and surround them, stop and subdue.
I love that type of shit. There's no way that 99% of people would ever notice this, but they put it in just because it's cool as fuck. So when the music stops and our heroes are cornered, we meet one of our main antagonists, and we are finally able to put a face to the shady
1%.
agency. Nixon, played by Keith Sutherland,
1%
lays down
chat.
the whole plan to mind control the Glen population.
Everybody's got a part to play. In order for us to continue continue our work down here. This place has to have a certain flavor, quality of life. Je ne sais quoi.
Nixon confirms
after
that
this
the
video,
people
I'm
cloned
ending.
are only part of the system to basically keep the Glen as ghetto as possible while they are running their experiments.
Well, if we were to pull you all off the street, there'd be 3 Starbucks here by Tuesday. And there goes our control setting. So yeah, we use you to keep the place, well, undisturbed.
Fontaine is a drug dealer and Slick Charles is a pimp, but Yo-Yo is considered not important enough to even clone. Nixon also has a bodyguard with him that is a Squilliam-looking-ass clone of Fontaine, but no bodyguard is necessary because with the code word Olympia Black, Nixon is able to take control of all of the clones, including Fontaine. I've seen some people speculate that the code word Olympia Black is a reference to a science fiction author, but the director Jules confirmed they used the code word because it rolled off the tongue. He says there's a lot of Easter eggs buried in the movie, and ironically, this is not one of them. So Nixon lets our trio go with the hopes that they will either just keep their mouths shut or die and be replaced by new clones.
And then as soon as they hear that, they carry on and go back to what they were doing.
The next day, Yo-Yo shows up still trying to do her part in taking down the organization, but Fontaine and Slick are pretty despondent and ready to call it a wrap.
Maybe the next Fontaine won't be such a fucking pussy.
She got him there. So we get a montage of Fontaine just going throughout his life loop the same as usual.
You lose. Always.
But with the knowledge that he's a clone, he really can't just go on like that. And goddamn, that TV is strong as hell. This next scene is
I know, that's what I was thinking, bro.
Finally goes to his mom's room, where there is just a sound box that repeats random statements that otherwise would have kept him from checking on her. His whole entire life, including his mother, is a lie, and John Boyega is giving one hell of a performance here. So this is when the kid from the beginning shows back up, and I swear this kid has a SpongeBob reference for everything, which is basically how all of us will communicate in the future.
Time, SpongeBob and Patrick got so sad, they started crying all over each other. They fell to the floor, water sprayed out her eyes like...
A few moments later.
Now, at the beginning, I mentioned that I would talk about the SpongeBob references. Some have mentioned the similarities to the Glen and Bikini Atoll. Bikini Atoll is where the government tested atomic bombs, and the result of that testing basically displaced a bunch of the native population there. And this blatant disregard for these people in the name of government testing is parallel to what the agency is currently doing to the Glen. And I love this connection so much, but I do want to take it a little bit further. Remember at the beginning when the kid calls Fontaine Squidward?
Yeah, that's Squidward.
Nah, Squid.
So you do watch it.
Well, the golden age of SpongeBob features the episode where Squidward lives in a society of different Squidwards.
2, 303, and 304. Beautiful. And not a pineapple in sight.
Where he becomes more and more miserable by assimilation.
Assimilation is better than annihilation.
And I feel like this is even a stronger parallel to the themes of this movie. I would even go as far as saying that Nixon's bodyguard and all of the white people with afros are a direct parallel to that community in that SpongeBob episode. I don't know, I just haven't heard anyone mention this before and wanted to slap that in there. Let me know what you think about the Squidward connection in the comments below.
One eternity later.
So this kid and the memory of his little brother is what gives Fontaine the motivation to reach out to Slick Charles so they can resume their quest. I don't know why, but when Slick says,
"Which is the scene first?"
I just crack up every time. It's just Jamie Foxx's delivery that is just so perfect for a pimp in his feelings.
That was a whole motherfucking polar bear. Down to the claws, nigga.
So the boys decide to get back to business and find Yo-Yo.
Let a pimp freshen up.
However, while Yo-Yo was trying to expose the whole plot to a higher power, the agency captured her. So Fontaine and Slick devise a plan to break her out of the underground testing facility. Phase 1 of the plan is to get help from the hood. So they go to the rival drug dealer Isaac. However, it appears that the plan goes south very quickly because Isaac doesn't believe Fontaine.
So you trying to tell me it's a bunch of Bill Nye the Science Guy looking motherfuckers underneath me right now?
And ends up shooting him on the spot. This causes the agency to pick up the dead Fontaine and bring a new clone out for the next morning. I love the conversation about making chicken that the two agency workers are having while decanting the new clone.
So no salt, no pepper, nothing? Nope, just the natural flavors of the chicken. Boiling it really brings it out.
The new clone wakes up and Slick hogties him because guess what? It was all one slimy plot to sneak Fontaine into the agency as he plays dead. Isaac was in on it the whole time, rehearsing how he was going to shoot Fontaine and make it look good.
You can do better, bro. So you trying to tell me it's a bunch of Bill Nye the Science Guy looking motherfuckers underneath me right now? That's it. That's it. That's it. This is it. Training day of Booker Eli. Booker Eli. Fuck, run it again. Come on.
Meanwhile, Fontaine is infiltrating the agency from the inside, and Slick is gathering the Glen to strike from the outside. But then there's Yo-Yo, who's and already figuring out her own way of getting out of there. The Glen takes over the facility, and we get one last reveal as Fontaine is brought to the real boss of the organization, and it turns out to be the original version of Fontaine.
You. Me. No. You're me.
An old man now that was left grief-stricken due to the murder of his little brother by the police.
Is he? No. He died. Just the way you remember. It's the one thing I wanted you
you all to have.
Okay, so OG Fontaine has reasoned that for violence against black people in America to stop, black people must slowly be transformed into white people.
Assimilation is better than annihilation.
So all of those white people running the businesses around town with black hair are part of that experiment. They are just at the stage where their hair stays black.
His hair is stubborn.
The plan is to have this testing take place over many generations to where eventually everyone will be white in America. Honestly, this dude sounds like Clarence Thomas to me, because he's got some crazy internalized hatred. So right before he's about to get killed, Fontaine remembers the passcode, Olympia Black, and orders the Squilliam clone to kill the OG.
I am not a clone. He is. Shoot him!
Slick Charles and Yo-Yo kill Nixon, and the entire Glen leaves the facility victorious. We do get a denouement where we see another Fontaine clone going about a very similar life loop, but this time it's in Los Angeles. While this clone is watching the news with his friends, a report comes on of clones being released from a facility. Everyone watches with surprise as a clone of the man they are sitting with appears on the screen, and that's when we come to find out that this clone is actually the titular Tyrone of the movie.
Ain't that you, Tyrone?
That's
and
the
in the end credits, we get a clever little change to an Erykah Badu song.
Erykah Badu re-recorded Tyrone for us. She doesn't say call Tyrone. She's saying they cloned Tyrone.
All in all, this is one of my favorite movies to be released this year. This is one of those movies where I just kind of feel very grateful that it was made, and they were able to give Joel Taylor a chance.
I love this movie, bro. I don't know how I feel about the vid. It was late. It was like